Thank you for tuning in to Grand Blanc Watchdogs podcast. Your host, Lonnie Adkins, former candidate for Grand Blanc Township trustee.
And Monica Shapiro, former candidate for Grand Blanc Township supervisor.
Okay, so Monica, we're going to talk Grand Blanc. What do you have for us today?
Let's talk about the millage.
The Parks Millage. So a lot of chatter in the community.
Big millage.
Big millage. So what's your position on it?
Vote no.
Wow. And you've been such a strong advocate for Parks and Rec, and you're saying no. I can't wait to hear this.
Well,
why?
Because we have a flush general fund. We're in good health financially. We're even taking on an $18.9 million bond for a fire station. We are so wealthy that we can buy a $4 million fire truck without batting an eye. Give $4 million to the contracting company that's going to put in the water meters, also without batting an eye, at least without investigating. I did more investigation than these guys did. $4 million for a fire truck. So these guys didn't ask a question. Mr. Limita tells us that the truck has reached its 25-year lifespan, and the official word is that they're not safe after 25 years, and so we've got to get a new one. And so he found this company that would, a custom, top of the line, best one out there, brand new, will be done in 2 years. It's a custom thing, so it's going to take 2 years to build. And that's $4 million. And the good thing is they got a few quotes from different places, but this company, even though it takes 2 years to make the thing, they lock in the price right now. If we buy it now, we get the price now, and it won't go up. And he doesn't give any information about what the other ones cost. Who knows? Maybe they cost a whole million less if you can have that flexibility about the price going up. But we don't know that because we just have Dennis's word. I didn't go into, I imagine the bids are somewhere and you can look them up if you really are interested in digging, which I'm not. But maybe it would have been nice if the board members had said, what were the other bids on the ones that didn't have that guarantee? But they didn't. And then another thing they could have said was, are there used fire trucks that have this 100-foot aerial lift that we need? Are there used ones out there? And so I looked that up. And indeed, you can get a 2019 one, which would still have, a good 15 years of usable life from a fire community where they actually had to upgrade their fleets, and they don't need, this one is not what they need anymore. So they're selling it. And then like any civilian car, there's a huge depreciation that happens. Almost, a 6-year-old fire truck can cost $900,000 instead of $4 million. So maybe you do some due diligence and you look around. I looked around, I saw 3 or 4 100-foot aerial trucks out there at different sites from 2019. One of them is probably in pretty good shape, and we could just buy that. And that would be being careful stewards of our money. Instead, we have to have the best one. And Scott sort of gently says, well, that could be used for a big, tall commercial building, right? Well, we've got 1 or 2 of those. It could be used for, over water rescue. It could be used, how many then the board should ask, how many rescues like that do we have that we need a brand new, super duper, top of the line, $4 million fire truck? We've got like 5 uses where we had to use the aerial truck in the course of how long? I want some numbers here. I think we can get a reasonably priced used one and do pretty good and still be safe and still give adequate fire coverage to this town that we are not Chicago. We don't have this kind of stuff going on, but we're spending $4 million without a question asked. Is there a way we could do this cheaper? Nobody asks. And then they turn around and it's time to discuss that we need a parks millage. We need to ask the taxpayers to pay for our parks because we're wasting our money like this. Endless wasteful spending, and they want to charge us more taxes to pay for the things that we want and need and should have.
I think what drives me crazy about the millage request is it's all or nothing. So, good government versus government. So it's all or nothing. It's like, okay, well, if the community doesn't pass this millage, then the community spoke. They don't want any of the improvements at the parks. That's not correct.
No.
Look at the city, right? The city puts out a millage recently, last year.
A little millage, a tenth of a millage.
A small millage. The residents rejected it. The city still found ways
to purchase the jewel.
Maintain their parks.
Yes.
And do amazing things with their parks.
Functioning splash pad for many years.
But our township elected officials, what they do is they guilt you into these millages, and if you don't pass them, then they punish you. Like, well, you know, you didn't want it, so now you get nothing. Shame on you. But they have the money, Monica.
Yes, they do. They have the money. There should be a piece, a segment of our general fund routinely. A nice hefty segment should go to parks. And, you know, maybe if we're not paying off $1 million a year in debt every year, we have that. And I'm not talking the unfunded liability debt, which is a whole thing that I do not think even they understand.
So there's certain things that you provide a community, provide the residents, that is never meant to be
a paying thing, a revenue producer.
A revenue producer. It's just an expense.
Yes.
A park is just an expense.
And if we weren't throwing money at all these crazy
everywhere. So if you look at this flyer that they sent out about the park, so I look at possibilities, land acquisition for future parks.
To me, that's the #1 priority. And if they are going to go for this massive millage, then they can give that guy twice what he paid for that land and get us a park.
Okay, explain this one to me, Monica. Infrastructure improvements at the Grand Blanc Senior Center.
Yeah, right.
With the parks millage.
Yeah, you know,
what is an infrastructure improvement to me is, oh my God, this place needs a new roof, new toilets, new floor, like safety, like general maintenance for the building
and for the township's assets.
So you need a millage, a Parks and Rec millage to maintain the senior center?
No. Yeah, that's in the dreams column.
And that's dreams.
The dream is they might get a new roof at the senior center.
But let's build a brand new DPW building, spare no expense, but those seniors need a roof or a floor. That's in the possibilities.
I know. I love that.
It might be possible, might not be. And if you don't pass the millage, those seniors
are going to be in a leaky ass building.
So, all right. Now let's move on. Now, what about this one? An amphitheater. So, geez, I can only think in the future there'll be another millage to do an infrastructure improvement, i.e. maybe a roof on that one, since they need a millage to do it on the senior center. But an amphitheater? Really?
Why don't they
That's the best you could come up with?
Yeah.
Really?
And, you know, do they think we'll be attracting multitudes to concerts? And they could pay. It could
They'll
be
pay.
profit.
Yes, they'll pay. Yeah, maybe you could pay for parking. Maybe you can pay. Maybe a ticket price. Maybe like a ticket price.
It'll be an expensive thing to go to within your community.
How about the splash pad?
Oh yes. Well, look at it. They've put it under dreams because all these years they've been making fun of me for thinking that it was something they ought to have managed to do.
And the community wants the splash pad.
They're holding it up on hooking it up to city water and the sewer. Now, city water means currently we have wells. I mean, there's a lot of water out there. It's practically a wetland, and we've got a nice functioning well. But like all wells in this area, the water is very hard and has to be treated to keep from rusting out the splash pad, and they didn't do that. The millions above and beyond the cost of the splash pad are for hooking up to the city water supply, which comes pre-softened. You don't need a water treatment, but water treatment compared to the cost of hooking up to city water, the cost of continuously paying for city water, you know, that's something you wish, again, that the board would say, like, do we need to hook up to city water? Can we use well water if we treat it? Does that give us a cost benefit? They don't ask those kinds of questions. they just say hooking up to water is expensive. It's $1 million to do the hookup.
Well, you know,
Why don't we have a park in our midst? We have DPW. We hook that up for them. That we charge businesses. We charge homeowners to hook up. Well,
if you look at
what we charge is our money that we can use to maintain our infrastructure in our government. That's what we charged all the homeowners to hook up. Now we're saying we got to charge ourselves the same rate.
What I think is going on, now I don't know this for fact, but if you look at just historical at the park and how they treat the ball fields and stuff, I really think what they're tying the splash pad to and the upgrades on the pipes and all the stuff they need, really the focus is they're trying to tie those two together to say, you know, you need one with the other. But the real fact is, I don't think you need all these upgrades just to provide a splash pad. No. They want to do this because the ball fields are where they're focused at. The bathrooms are where they're focused at. This splash pad can be done in my. It was already there.
Yes.
It was all. You know, if
the only thing they didn't do was treat the water.
Yeah.
So
if it's well water, you treat it. How many people are on well? But you see, they do this. There's a trend here. Every project they do, they complicate it and tie it to 2 or 3 other things because the goal that you think they're trying to accomplish really isn't the goal, right? The splash pad could come back tomorrow. Yes. It really could,
yes,
right?
It could.
You could build a splash pad and treat the water.
There are 3 sections to this thing, this piece, the millage, as you know. And when they first presented it to the township, it was if we just renewed the 25 mil that we already have, we could do the things in the first column. That was how it was presented. There were 3 alternatives given to the board. The dreams column, and they said, well, the splash pad is the thing that people want most, so I guess we better go for the 1 mil.
What about the paving the roadways throughout the park? You know, that's in the front section here.
That's there. That would have been, if we had only kept the millage we currently have, they could have afforded to do that. But they want to raise it to do all these dreams. But what's interesting is splash pad should not be a dream. Indoor-outdoor pavilion should be a dream. That's maybe in the future. It doesn't make any sense. They just throw those things out there and think nobody's going to look at them the way we do. And when they have our 1 mil, they're going to do stuff we don't like.
In my mind, I'm a no because there's just not a good prioritization and a plan.
Yes.
I look at the possibilities, and to me, you know, infrastructure improvements at the senior center, that should have been kind of in number 1. It shouldn't even be on the Parks and Rec. Shouldn't be on the Parks and Rec part of it.
Especially because we have,
it's a government building, maintain it.
Senior millage. I'm sure they go to them for funding when they need things, especially Grand Blanc that gives so much money to the county.
All right, so I mean,
vote no on the millage.
Vote no on the millage. The money is there.